Hello everyone, this is Pushpoint, and I am your storyteller. I am here to help you today. I know you use this video to fall asleep. Like the video and subscribe the channel.
After where are you from and what time you are watching now, get comfortable and relax.
Evelyn Harper hadn't planned on spending the winter alone in her family's old hunting cabin, nestled deep in the dense, evergreen forests of the Pacific Northwest. The cabin had been a summer retreat for generations, but in the colder months, it took on a far more forbidding character.
Towering pines loomed like silent sentinels, their branches heavy with wet, clinging forth that drifted through the woods like wandering spirits.
The decision to stay alone had been born of necessity, not desire.
Her father, a grizzled hunter turned recluse, had died suddenly in late autumn, leaving the cabin and its isolated land to her. With the estate tied up in a web of legal disputes, Evelyn had chosen to stay through the winter, hoping to clear her mind and perhaps find some sense of closure in the remote wilderness. The first few days passed uneventfully. She found some comfort in the familiar crackle of the fireplace and the steady drone of rain against the metal roof. She chopped wood, cooked simple meals, and allowed herself to forget the chaos of the city. Yet, as the days stretched into weeks, the isolation began to wear on her.
It started subtly.
First, the radio, an old, crackling relic of her father's, would sometimes hiss to life without her touching it, faint whispers emerging from the static before abruptly falling silent.
Then came the sounds at night, a creaking on the porch, the whisper of footsteps in the fallen leaves, and the occasional rhythmic tapping against the windows, always just out of sync with the rain.
One night, as she sat by the fire, she heard it clearly for the first time, a slow, deliberate scratching at the back door.
The sound cut through the hiss of the rain, sending icy prickles racing down her spine. She froze, breath catching in her throat, heart pounding so loudly she thought it might drown out the noise. Slowly, she reached for her flashlight, its beam trembling as she pointed it toward the door. Nothing, just the warped, weather-beaten planks of the door and the darkness beyond the small, frosted window. She tried to laugh it off, blaming the wind or a stray branch, but the unease lingered, settling in her bones like the deep, biting cold. As the days dragged on, the cabin itself seemed to change. Shadows stretched longer in the corners, the walls creaked with a sinister, almost conscious awareness, and the air grew thick with the faint, metallic scent of rust and damp earth.
Evelyn found herself talking to herself just to break the oppressive silence, her voice thin and strained, as if the walls themselves were listening. Then, one night, she found the footprints.
Fresh snow had fallen, blanketing the clearing around the cabin in pristine white. She had stepped out to fetch more wood, the cold biting at her skin, when she saw them deep, heavy impressions leading from the tree line directly to her front door. The prints were larger than any she'd ever seen, each one spaced unnaturally far apart, as if whatever made them had taken impossibly long strides. Heart racing, she followed the tracks to the door, her breath misting in the icy air, eyes flicking nervously to the darkened forest. She felt the oppressive weight of the towering trees, their gnarled limbs like twisted, reaching fingers, and the unshakable sensation that she was being watched.
She didn't sleep the night. The fire crackled weakly, the shadows flickered and twisted, and the faint, slow tapping returned, echoing through the hollow cabin, keeping time with her racing heartbeat.
Over the following days, the cabin seemed to grow colder despite the crackling fire. She caught glimpses of movement just beyond the tree line, dark shapes slipping between the trunks, always just out of sight, but close enough to leave her trembling. Then the whispers began. They drifted through the walls, soft and unintelligible at first, like the rustling of dead leaves, but gradually growing clearer, closer, until they seemed to breathe against the back of her neck as she lay in her creaking bed.
Eyes squeezed shut against the darkness.
"Come outside," they urged, their voices a low, mocking chorus. "Join us in the trees."
The final night came without warning.
The radio snapped to life, blaring a harsh, crackling hiss that filled the small cabin, shaking the windows in their frames.
Evelyn stumbled from her bed, heart pounding, hands clapping over her ears as the voices surged, layered and overlapping, too many to count.
The scratching at the door grew louder, more frantic, the very walls of the cabin seeming to bend inward, creaking like the ribs of a dying beast. She grabbed the fireplace poker, her only weapon, and stumbled to the door, her breath coming in short, terrified gasps. As she threw the door open, the storm outside brought to life, snow and wind tearing at her skin, and the whispering stopped. Silence, and Evelyn Harper screamed,